Can I see my presentation over here, please? You guys get a chance. So one of my goals, help make you a better person. You know, one thing that we are focused on when we spend time with people is helping them become more of who they truly want to be. Now, when someone like joins our mastermind or something like that, they may join for one reason, and it ends up being a little different toward the end. We're not addicted to, you know, hey, this is what success means to them. We're addicted to the idea of helping people reveal their true self and become someone that plays big, that is inspiring to themselves and to others, whatever that looks like. So hopefully does that make sense? What I'm talking about? There was no response to that. There's literally not one person that not we're very committed to helping people become better and play bigger. Improve your skills, offer mentorship to those who want to play big, and help you make an impact out there. Okay? So, we've had a big day of learning, right?
Yes.
Haven't we? Learned a lot. How awesome, Jessica, that social media recruiting. I told you she was good. I told you. How about that gangster little technique that she said, hey, here's my number, what's yours, so I know you'll call. No one's gonna call, but they'll give you their number. They're like, why? Because that's kind of courteous, isn't it? So you can play the courtesy card. That's pretty neat, right? But you've learned a lot. You've learned a lot of tips, you've learned a lot of strategies, we've got a lot more learning to do. But everyone, just for a second, let's take a big deep breath in. Feels good, right? You know, if you're ever having a stressful day, do that. Do that little bit, that little just breathing. You know, I don't know if they still do it, but I used to notice when I opened Skype, it would say, like, breathe or take a breath or something like that. I always thought that was kind of cool, to remind us to freaking breathe. We're always on the go. We're always go, nonstop, and we never really stop to just breathe. And simply taking a deep breath, and, you know, I do meditation almost every day, and it's all about focusing on your breath. It's what it's all about, focusing on your breath and really centering your energy, and that's something that we need to do more of, we really do. So I'm going to get into it. 8 ways to change the world. Number 1, practice more gratitude. Now, what you probably think this means is, maybe you think it means, you know, every day write a gratitude journal. Every day, you know, write things that you're grateful for, or maybe you, as you're driving down the road, think about things you're grateful for. That's all good stuff. But I mean in interaction with other people as well. Anytime that Jessica makes a meal for me, and she doesn't make every meal, right? A lot of meals I'm kind of independent, I make my own. But anytime she makes a meal for me, anytime she does anything for me, I thank her. That never gets old. Anything she does, I thank her. Someone holds a door for me, I thank them. If I'm walking across the parking lot and someone stops and doesn't cripple me, I thank them. But you know how many people don't do that? You know, and I taught my sons this. You know, they hold the door for people, they thank people, they, you know, wave at the car if they stop for them, not crippling them, right? But you know how many people don't do that? Do you know how many people that the spouse does something nice for the other spouse on a daily basis and now it's just pattern? Oh, I don't need to think. She's been doing that for 20 years. He does it every day. Don't let that get old. Thank people. Thank them. Let's get in the habit where it's weird. It's weird if you hold the door for someone and they don't thank you. Wouldn't that be cool? Where it's weird if you pick up the tab somewhere and someone doesn't. It's weird if someone doesn't thank you. If someone teaches me something, I thank them. I'm grateful for it. And I tell them. You know, throughout this event, I've been, you know, texting little things to a few different people. I texted a little one to my man Tim Sales right there. There he is. Now he's going to be bombarded. He loves signing autographs. He'll spend so much time with you. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I just lost that. Thank you. Yeah, I've been texting different people just like thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for honoring us with your presence. Don't let thank you get old. It never gets old. And if you're going to run the risk, then thank too much. Thank too much. If someone does something nice for you, thank them. Don't let it get old. Number 2, ILT. Now we're going to talk a lot more in details. Many of you are familiar with this strategy, right? ILT. Why change the world, ILT? I believe it will. I believe it will for a couple reasons. For those that don't know, ILT stands for Invest,
Learn, Teach.
Invest, Learn, Teach, right? So you invest your time, possibly money, to learn something, and then you teach it. How does that change the world? Yeah, it's good for marketing, right? How will that change the world? Do you know how much better you feel if you're making an impact on other people? You feel pretty dang good. And an easy way for you to do that is just start teaching what you're learning. Do you know how many people should be in this room? Do you know how many people doing it wrong on LinkedIn? How many people are not cold market prospecting because they're too fearful about it, too selfish, too worried about looking bad? Where if they had some of these tactics, if they learned some of the things that were taught today, they'd be making a bigger impact. Well, guess what? Maybe I don't get to those people, but you do. Every single one of you has a sphere of influence. That if you start sharing more stuff that you are learning, because you're in the profession of learning, you're in the self-development profession, that's what you're in. Would you agree with that? Yes. It's what we constantly do. We're constantly working on ourselves. Knowing that, you can make a difference. And it doesn't necessarily have to be network marketers. I have a lot of people in different niches that aren't in network marketing that tell me my videos helped them, or my podcast, or whatever else, right? You can make that too. ILT. The notes that you took today, you have a couple choices. You can either not cash them, like if they're just uncashed checks, you can throw them on the pile of your other notes from the last event and the event before that no one ever heard. Or you can convert that to online content. You can convert it to a Facebook status update at minimum, an article, a blog post, a video, a Periscope. And we have, one of our clients is an expert at Periscope. There she is. What's up? What's up? And you can literally do a little Periscope. Who doesn't know what Periscope is? I'm sure some people don't. Be honest. Okay. So Periscope it's owned by Twitter. It's an app that you can get on your phone, and you can live stream basically from anywhere. Anyone doing Periscope right now? Are you? Cool. It's neat. It's kind of off the cuff. I do Periscope almost every day. And it's just a live stream. You literally click a button and boom, it records live stream. And people can join on and it's a good time. You could literally do a Periscope and read your notes and just say, yeah, then we learned this, then we learned this, then we learned this. Record it, have it saved to your phone, upload it to Facebook, upload it to YouTube. Boom, that's online content. Someone somewhere may see that and say, wow, that's a really good point. That's really cool. Are you helping them? If we all become someone who is a sharer of information, we make an impact. That's why I have this in the top 8. Number 3, forgive. People always ask me, what was the switch, Ray? You were in foreclosure, you were dead broke. What was the switch? And it's hard to pinpoint a switch. There was a switch, but it's hard to pinpoint the exactness of, it was this one course, or it was this one thing. What I believe is, and I'll talk more about this on Saturday, but I believe that if I didn't forgive my dad, that there's no way we would be here. Hadn't talked to him in 13 years. He had never met my sons, who were 8 and 9 years old at the time. I don't believe if I would have forgiven him that I ever would have built what we've built. I just don't believe it. And the reason is, your past, it's in your past, but it's actually fogging up your future. It's taking up actual space in your mind. It's taking up your mental energy. When you clear that stuff out, there's a new road that you can walk down. There's a new opportunity. And there's a quote by Reverend Michael Beckwith. We were working with him, and we may do something with him in the future. But he says forgiveness is giving up on the fact that the past could have been any different. I don't hold a grudge because I didn't have the greatest childhood. I don't hold a grudge that, my, stepmom didn't treat me the way that, maybe someone should be treated. I don't hold a grudge. Because if I did, then that means that I'm not aware that the past couldn't have been any different. It couldn't have been. Maybe I grow up to be a jerk father, if that doesn't happen. Maybe I grow up to be a totally different person, if that didn't happen. Another thing that I'm super grateful for, I'm super grateful that I lost all my money a few years ago. Sure made me appreciate it. I'm so grateful for that. How would I be able to train people that are in that same situation? I don't think I could. I can only train from where I've been. Grateful for those things. I'm grateful that I lost it all. Grateful. Give up on the fact that the past could have been any different, because it couldn't have been. You were dealt the hand that you were dealt. Your choice is to play it. You can't go back and change those cards. They're there. Get uncomfortable. This is something that I just can't tell you. And I learned this actually at the age of 18, believe it or not. Not bungee jumping. I still haven't bungee jumped. I am kind of a wuss, not gonna lie. But I did buy, we got tickets for skydiving, so we're gonna do that. I'm not real excited, but I'm gonna do it. It makes me really uncomfortable. But I'll tell you where I learned this. I was working at a grocery store called Winn-Dixie. You know Winn-Dixie? Yeah. Fans of Winn-Dixie, that's impressive. Yeah! WD, baby! It's awesome. It's impressive. They get a good brand apparently in here. And so I'm 18, and I just gotten out of some weird situations, okay? I'm 18 or 19 actually, I'm not sure which one, 18 or 19. I just gotten out of some weird situations. I moved out of the house, out of my mom's house, toward the end of junior year. And I was living in the, not so great party house, right? My senior superlative was party animal. Mom was proud. And so yeah, I didn't see her for a couple of years while I was actually in high school. Didn't finish high school on time, if that's an indicator. So, but when I got out of that scene, which a lot of people that I hung out with and lived with actually went to prison. Some are still there. When I got out of that scene, I started working at Winn-Dixie. It was one of the jobs that I had. I basically consumed my time with work because I didn't want to have free time. I got 3 jobs and I was just nonstop. And there was a gentleman there, and he was the assistant manager. And I'm looking for mentorship. I'm hungry for mentorship. I'm hungry for direction. And because I always had goals. Okay, some of them not the most ethical goals, but had goals. And I was looking for direction. So I talked to this guy, and I'm like, hey, you've been here a long time. He was, yeah, I've been here 12 years. He'd been at Winn-Dixie, assistant manager. And I said, cool, how's it going? He goes, I'm just gonna, stick it out here, and if I go another, whatever he said, 8 years, 9 years, I can be at this and then that, and then I'm like, oh, cool. So you must like it. He goes, I hate it. I'm not jaded, right? I'm 18, 19, I'm not jaded, so I'm a little confused by that statement. I don't realize that people actually stay in something they hate their whole life, and that's just like, okay. And so I'm like, you hate it? Well, I don't understand. What do you mean? Because he had just told me he'd been there 12 years, he's going to stay another 8 or 9 years, right? And he said, well, the money that I'm making right now, I don't think I can go anywhere else and make the same, so I'm just going to stick it out here. Now, this guy was 32 years old. Think about that. 32 years old, let's just cash in the chips. This is as good as she gets. That stuck with me. I'm so grateful for that conversation. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. Because it has pushed me when I needed pushed. I worked my way up, and I was working at a county government, making what most people would call a pretty good salary. And when I felt that comfort bone, I'm like, shit, man, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I got to go do something else. When I felt that there was no other things to grow into, I had to go do something else. And people like laughed at that. They're like, right. You're at this salary, county government, rock solid, safe, secure. You're crazy. They thought it was nuts. But I did. Went to another job for a year and then became an entrepreneur 1 year after that. It is those jumps that gave me the confidence to keep jumping. And we talked a little bit about patterns. We talked about getting uncomfortable. When you start to create a pattern of not moving when you feel the urge to move because you're scared, you're setting that pattern. There will be other scenarios of that throughout your entire life. And so I love what Steve came up here and shared, and he said, man, just stroking that big check, it gave me the ability to do this, this, and this. You know, I didn't give him that ability. Do you know that? I didn't say, now Steve, it's time to quit. Time to quit your job, right? Never had that. I didn't do that. He created a pattern. He created a pattern of, I want this, but it's really uncomfortable, but I'm going to go get it. And then poof, everything else in his life started lining up. I hate that I have to say this, but limit your negative talk about others. I can't think of a less energetic thing to do is talking negatively about others. Don't spend your time talking about that. You know, I have people that they'll reach out to me and they say, hey, do you know so-and-so is doing this? I'm just like, and I've had, throughout my different careers, I've had plenty of people that I like used to work with or whatever that wanted to bash me. And I remember, I guess I can say this, I was a speaker at a real estate association years ago. And when I decided that my goals were a little bit out of, a little bit aligned differently than the heads of that association, and I let them know, hey, I'm kind of going my separate way. Oh man, literally for years they bashed me at every meeting. Like they would hold these meetings, just bash me, just tear me to pieces. Never responded. And people would say, dude, they said this and this. What? Aren't you gonna say something? I'm like, I'm not. I'm focused on where I'm going. That's just how I think. I focus on where I'm going. Focus on where you're going. Yeah. Focus on where you're going. That is powerful. The ability to talk about somebody else negatively, that's not powerful. That's what everyone else does. If you consume your time with finding out all that he said, she said, whatever nonsense, you're not going to have time to grow. You're not going to have time to go after what you actually want in your life. Have winning habits. I know without a doubt that with my habits, I should have success. I should have. It's not, boy, I sure got lucky this month. No. It's my habits. I very clearly say, here are my habits, here are my results. These results come after my habits. Do you have winning habits? And if you don't, start having winning habits. We'll go into daily routine, I believe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit about daily routine. But have winning habits. Guess what? If you prospect just 3 people a day, if you shoot a video twice a week, guess what? You should be attracting people to you. You should be recruiting people. Have winning habits. Stop looking for the scratch-off lottery ticket. Stop looking for the magic button. And start having winning habits. You may stumble upon the lottery. You may stumble upon the magic buttons, the easy button. But have winning habits that dictates you should be getting results. Earlier I talked about how many no's are you getting. And if you're not getting many no's each week, then you have the results you should have. Have winning habits. That says you should have winning results. This is a big one. Most people, not some, most people would rather be right than happy. They spend their time defending. They spend their time arguing. They spend their time saying, well, you said this. And they're miserable. They're not happy. There's a lot of times where I may believe something else to be the case, but I'm okay with it. And that's why I'm happy here. I don't need to bend everyone to my way of thinking, right? Or let me show them why I'm right. I don't need that. Don't require it. I'd rather be happy. Hard to be happy if you're convincing everyone around you why you're right. Let them be right. Be happy about it. Know that it's not that big a deal. There used to be so many little things that used to bug both me and Jessica that just don't anymore. It's just not that big a deal. Use serving language. I believe the number one step, the first step, if you want to change your life, change your language and how you describe it. That part you want to change. So I'll have people that they'll come and they'll say, well, Ray, you don't understand, I don't have a team. And so I'll ask them, like, okay, now, do you actually have a team? Well, yeah, I have a team, but they're not really a team. Okay? Then you have what you're dictating. So if you have a person, you have a team. So start using serving language. I'm so happy and grateful that my team is growing. You don't have to lie. You don't have to make things up. I'm so happy I got 1 million people. Because it is how you feel about what you say that matters. If you're saying, I got 1 million people, yeah, right, then the way that you feel about that statement is going to negate any possible result. You have to change the way you speak about what you want to change. You have to change the language first. That's the key. Does that make sense? Yeah. So these are why most successful people that you ever run into, they don't use certain words. They don't use, I'm overwhelmed. Some of you use that today. You don't have to raise your hand. I'm frustrated. See, successful people don't use that word. They just don't use those words. They may say things like, hey, I got a lot to do. They may say things like that, kind of factual. It doesn't have a negative tone to it. So watch your language. Because if you don't, then how you do the things that you do are going to be impacted. It isn't just learning the how-to, it's how you do the how-to. That's what's super, super important. And you got to manage that when you're going for no's, right? You got to manage that energy. Because some people will argue, well, if you're going for no's, you're just going to get a bunch of them, right? It is the energy of you receiving a no that I'm working on. I want people to be able to hook up a heart, heart monitor on you, and someone says yes and no, and they don't see a difference. That'd be pretty sweet. Would that be cool? That'd be pretty sweet. And make a decision. Don't let this be just another great event. Don't let this be just, one more chapter in your book of great events, and you show up to the other event, and then the next event, and then the next event. Make a decision. And the best time to make a decision was yesterday. Today is your only option. You have to make a decision that you're going to come out of this different. You're going to make the tough decisions to change your life. Now, before we get to homework, did anyone notice anything funny about the presentation?
It was 9.
All right. Always over-delivered.
I'm like, somebody messed up.
Always over-delivered. Okay. All right. Quick high five. Your partner. Let's do a quick high five. Boom. High five then. All right. Tomorrow's a very important day.